It was 1:32 p.m. when the doors slid open and he walked into Walmart. Baggy sweatpants dragging the air, hoodie still on, hood down, despite the heat outside. He wasn't sweating. He never did. People glanced at him like they always did. Scrawny, short, looked maybe 16 at best. No eye contact, no threat. Yet, he walked slow, lazy even. One hand buried in his hoodie pocket, the other loosely holding a disposable vape he puffed without a second thought, even indoors. He didn't ask. He never asked. He just walked. The old greeter by the door said something about the no smoking policy. Lavoix didn't even glance at him, just muttered, "Eat my balls, Clarence," and moved toward the self-checkout zone. Thing is, the greeter's name tag didn't even say Clarence. Lavoix didn't have a plan. He didn't need one. He was the plan. Some people chase meaning, others chase God. Lavoix just existed, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. The world was too soft, too fragile, too wrong, and he was the thing it birthed to correct itself. The second he passed the bakery aisle, he heard it. A voice, fake deep, trying hard, loud, obnoxious. Some wannabe tough guys near electronics. 3 of them, young, black hoodies. One of them had a chain too big for his neck. Another had his pants sagging halfway off his ass like gravity hated him. Bro, I swear to God, if that little white kid looks at me one more time... Lavoix hadn't even looked at them yet. He turned his head, slow, tilted it like a confused puppy, eyes dull, unbothered. Dead fucking quiet. Then the glow started. Not in his hands, not his chest, just his eyes, slowly, softly, like 2 little red suns peeking through a thunderstorm. The fuck? The guy didn't finish. Lavoix didn't walk forward. He didn't say anything. He just blinked, and in that moment, his pupils vanished in a bright, almost liquid red glow. Shh. The laser vision didn't explode. It didn't sizzle. It hummed, low and terrifying, like a jet engine buried underground. It carved clean through the dude's left shin, then up, bisecting his knee, crotch, belly, chest, throat, and finally straight through his mouth. The guy split open like a paper grocery bag filled with raw meat, collapsing into himself with a wet, sloppy whop as his intestines poured onto aisle 16's discount DVDs. The other 2 froze. Then Lavoix tilted his head the other way. Another beam, 2 holes directly through the next guy's knees. He dropped screaming, flailing, and Lavoix appeared next to him without walking. No, he didn't teleport. He moved at Mach 7, roughly 5,370 miles per hour, so fast that the guy's scream hadn't even registered in the air yet. Lavoix bent down and whispered, "You ever hear your own femur snap before your brain finishes the scream?" Then he grabbed the guy's face and slammed his skull into the tile with enough force to crater it, sending blood, brain matter, and chunks of molars sliding under the laundry aisle like wet soap. Third guy ran. Always one who runs. Lavoix appeared in front of him before his 3rd footstep hit the floor. The air around him popped, localized sonic boom just from his shoulder rotation. The runner crashed into Lavoix's chest like a bird hitting a truck grill. He bounced back, folded over, gasped once. Lavoix just stood over him, calm, no expression. Then said, "You think you're the first piece of shit who's tried to bark at me from behind a chain and a voice deeper than your balls? I didn't mean. I know." He raised one hand, not even his good one, and slowly pressed it against the guy's forehead. Then he pushed, didn't punch, didn't blast. Just pressed forward until his skull cracked against the linoleum like an overripe cantaloupe under a boot. It didn't burst, it caved in. The eyes didn't pop, they retracted, sucked back as the pressure collapsed the bone inward. The body jerked once, then went limp. Lavoix exhaled. The store was dead silent now. Customers hiding behind aisles, phones trembling in hands. One kid looked up from the toy section, saw Lavoix's eyes still glowing, and whispered, "Is that a superhero?" Lavoix turned to him, smiled, just barely. "No," he said. "That's the problem." He walked to self-checkout, scanned a vape. It beeped, didn't pay. Walked out the door with smoke trailing behind him, left 3 corpses in frozen silence, a city block in chaos, and the faint sound of footsteps that didn't match the laws of physics. The street was empty except for wind. Lavoix walked slowly at first, flicking the stolen vape between his fingers like a coin. Still had the taste of blue raspberry and battery acid. He walked past cars, past blinking crosswalks, past a man with a sign that read, "God is watching." He scoffed. Good. Hope he's taken notes. Then he paused. The wind shifted, not naturally, but like something noticed him, like the world itself braced for what was about to happen. His foot slid back. He bent forward slightly. He wasn't running away. He was running forward. His jog started soft, knees bouncing, shoulders swaying lazily, hoodie flapping behind him. The pavement beneath him started to tremble, not from weight, but from pressure. Then came the run. His stride extended. His breath stopped. Everything slowed, for everyone else. A bystander at the corner turned his head slightly and saw a blur like a silver bullet coated in red light pop into the horizon. The sound came 2 seconds later. Boom! A sonic wave shattered every glass pane from 7th Avenue to Main Street. Alarms screamed behind him. Sirens flipped inside out. But he wasn't done. He pushed harder, feet pounding pavement, not running, but ripping through air. Particles clung to his skin before being vaporized from friction. His body blurred. His outline vanished. Then the world cracked. He broke the light barrier. Colors inverted. He didn't hear anymore, didn't breathe. He existed in the tunnel. The time tunnel wasn't a place. It was a direction most beings weren't born able to see. A spiraling void of lights and bending space, stretching in all directions. Red streaks on one side, cold blue distortions on the other, and a violent pull that gripped his spine like an invisible hook. Inside, there was no ground, no floor, no physics. Just motion. Just Lavoix. He let the speed pull him sideways, drifting between the streaks like a bullet caught in a hurricane. He didn't slow, not yet. Instead, he smirked. Out loud, to no one. He muttered, "All right, where the fuck are we going today?" He leaned slightly left, letting the tunnel's pull yank him off course. The colors warped. The pull became violent. His hoodie ripped slightly at the seam as the force intensified. His body twisted sideways, and then he fell through the side of time. 1989, Earth, April 26 to 6:04 a.m. Location: somewhere in rural Kentucky. The sky was gray, choked in low thunderclouds. Rain came down in sheets, sideways, slamming against farmhouse rooftops and bouncing off rusted pickup trucks. The wind howled with violence. And then, out of nothing, a distortion tore open above the highway. A blinding rip of light, barely 3 feet above the asphalt. It twisted violently, like a hole punched in reality, and he shot out of it, spinning midair like a missile on fire. Lavoix hit the ground sliding, sparks ripping across the wet road as his sneakers melted against friction. He skid 50 feet down the asphalt, finally slowing as his heels dug in, grinding the earth like it owed him something. He stopped, hair soaked, hoodie half blown open, steam rising from his body like a nuke had just exhaled. He stood, looked around. Where the fuck? He turned to see a wooden sign half covered in moss. Welcome to Fleming County. And below that, population 4,392. He looked up again. The trees were different. The signs were older. The air didn't feel right. Not cold, not warm. Just wrong. His brow twitched. He stepped over to a rusted truck idling near a gas station. An old man was inside, eyes wide like he just watched Satan climb out of a microwave. Lavoix leaned in, water dripping off his brow. "Hey, what year is it?" The man choked on his own tongue. Eyes darted to the date on his dashboard calendar. Lavoix followed his gaze. 1989. He clicked his tongue. Cool. Then walked into the gas station like he lived there. The door dinged. Inside it was empty, dim yellow lights flickering, a magazine rack with headlines about the Berlin Wall and George H.W. Bush. He grabbed a snack cake. Hostess something. Didn't care. Behind the counter, a shaky teenage clerk asked, "Do you have money?" Lavoix looked at him like he just said the word diabetes in Japanese. "Do I look like I use money?" Then walked toward the back, grabbing a pair of sunglasses off a rotating rack as he went. He put them on slow, deliberate, glanced in a mirror by the drinks cooler. The reflection was exactly what he wanted. He stepped outside into the storm again, hair wet, eyes hidden, hoodie blowing like a cape. No one knew what just hit their world. No one knew what had landed. But it was about to get a whole lot worse, because Lavoix wasn't just visiting. He wanted to see what people were like before the internet. Before cell phones. Before anyone could scream fast enough for help. And they were... He walked down the drenched gravel road like he had nowhere to be and nowhere to hide from. The storm got louder. Thunder cracked like bones snapping in the sky. In the distance, a sheriff's cruiser pulled up beside him, slow. Window rolled down, and a pudgy, red-faced man with a thick mustache leaned out. Hat soaked. Sunglasses useless. Boy! Lavoix didn't look. Boy! The sheriff revved the engine a little, like that would add authority. You deaf or just dumb? Still no response. The sheriff threw the door open and stomped out into the rain, boots crunching gravel. His left hand hovered by his belt. Let me see some ID. Lavoix stopped, head lowered, water dripping off his hair. He slowly pulled the sunglasses down the bridge of his nose, revealing two deep, glowing red eyes, humming low like they had a heartbeat. The sheriff froze, just for a moment. Then, all right, I don't know what drugs you're on, but... He reached for his baton. Wrong move. Twitched. And was instantly behind him. No blur. No warning. Just a loud as a localized sonic boom erupted right where he'd been standing. The sheriff stumbled forward, then screamed as both his knees shattered from the shockwave trailing behind Lavoix's body. The old man dropped to the ground, legs twisted, boots bent the wrong way. He couldn't even reach his gun because Lavoix had already grabbed it. He twirled it like a toy, then crushed the barrel inward like it was aluminum foil. You really just called me boy? His voice was calm. Too calm. That venomous calm that sounded like a fuse. The sheriff whimpered. Whatever you are, you're gonna burn in hell for this. Lavoix squatted beside him, eyes glowing, rain bouncing off his cheeks like steam against fire. I hope so. What? Hell's the only place left that sounds interesting. Then he grabbed the sheriff's face and shoved it into the gravel, dragging it 5 feet before the skull split open like a cracked egg, leaving pieces of cheekbone and scalp behind, like someone wiped a paintbrush across the road. Someone saw. Across the street, behind a diner window, an old waitress screamed. 2 teenage boys ducked behind booths. Someone ran to the phone, screaming about a monster on 8th and Hollow Pike. Good. Let them call. Let them run. Let the past meet its new god. He walked into the diner like he was just looking for a table. Lightning flashed behind him. The waitress stammered, What do you want? Please, please, take it all. Pa. Lavoix looked up at the flickering overhead lights, then slowly pulled out a metal spoon from the napkin container. He looked at her and said, Want to see something cool? Before she could answer, he flicked the spoon into the air, then kicked it at near supersonic speed. The spoon launched forward like a missile and speared a mounted jukebox across the room, embedding deep in the metal frame as the whole unit exploded in sparks and shattered glass. The teens in the back screamed. Lavoix turned slowly to them. Who's next? They didn't answer, didn't move. One of them pissed himself. Lavoix nodded like that was the right answer. He grabbed a glass of water from an abandoned table, downed it, then crushed the glass in his bare hand. His skin didn't even flinch. He walked back out the diner like he just paid the bill. Sirens. Finally, old-school boxy cop cars screeched down the main road, kicking up mud and panic. 5. 6. A helicopter even started circling above, loud blades slapping the storm. They surrounded him in the street, guns drawn, spotlights on his soaked hoodie. Dozens of officers shouting, all overlapping, Hands in the air! Get down! Do it now! He stood in the middle of them, rain hissing off his skin, hair plastered to his face. He looked up at the sky, then back at the crowd of rifles and small-town wannabe soldiers. Y'all really think this is a good idea? A sergeant screamed, Fire! Fire! The first bullet reached him. It hit his forehead, bounced off. The second round clipped his chest, did nothing. He didn't move. Not 1 inch. They emptied their clips, rain mixed with gunpowder and desperation. And when the shooting stopped, when the thunder quieted, he was still standing. Only now, his eyes were glowing bright red. He raised his hand slowly, just one, then pointed his index finger outward and carved a streak of laser across every single cop's body like he was drawing a circle in the dirt. It wasn't fast. It was slow, deliberate, sadistic. He cut them clean in half. From hip to opposite shoulder, each one falling apart in the rain, organs sloshing out with a wet, meaty gloop. A helicopter spotlight moved to blind him. He looked up, tilted his head, and lasered straight through it. The chopper didn't explode. It peeled open, like a soda can hit with a shotgun blast mid-flight. The pilot screamed as he and the body of the machine spiraled into a burning heap on a barn roof. Then silence again. No more sirens. No more backup, just thunder. And Lavoix, walking alone, smoke hissing off his shoulders. He passed a mirror on the side of a broken-down ice truck, looked at himself. He saw the red, the reflection of eyes that didn't belong to a man anymore. And he whispered to himself, I don't belong in this time, but I belong anywhere I fucking choose. He looked to the sky, bent his knees, and vanished upward in a sonic clap so loud it knocked over street lamps. Back into the sky, back into the tunnel. 1989 burned behind him.